What's up, guys? It is Saturday morning bargain bin where I show you what's been going on in the hobby, the trends of cards going up, going down, and give you some perspective as to what some potentially good deals to be had are out there. And I'll be doing that in the four major sports and then soccer as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on my special guest. You know him as the personal finance dad. I know him as Dustin because we're close now. And we're going to go over some of these deals and then just see whatever cards and whatever charts you'd like to see if you are looking to invest in the next couple of weeks. But we want to make sure we're doing it off of data. We're looking at the charts. We're not just blindly investing in whatever sounds good. So with that being said, let me bring on Dustin. Oh yeah, welcome back. Now let's get to work. I always remember that in the videos, never in the live stream. Let's see. What's up, Dustin? How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, Brad?
Doing good, doing good. What's up, Mike C? What's up, Marcus? Dude, you've had a busy week. You said you were on
Crazy.
Gary V's Cards and Comments. What's it? Cards and Commerce?
Oh, no, Coffee and Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah.
But was there another one you were on as well recently?
Not recently. A couple months ago, I got on Tea with Gary V, and we talked about cards.
Because see, the next card-related special with Gary V, that's the one that I think it'd be awesome to be on because, like, you know, to actually talk face-to-face with Gary about some of this stuff would be awesome. Mike C, what's going on? Next Gen Breaks, Michael Singer, Grumpy Card Guy, that's DJ over there. Vegas Finds, that's Chris. All right, guys. Well, before I go into all the details with Dustin and ask him his opinion on certain investments, what I want to do is I want to show you the charts. And we're going to just go over what's been going on in the hobby real quick, and then anything detailed we can get into. So that looks perfect. Oh, there's Vegas Finds. I see Vegas Finds like 9 times. Let's go over here. And I'm going to have to actually hide your comment, Chris. There we go. So taking a look at this is basketball, and this is the last 7 days, and you see a lot of Hall of Famers going up. But I really want to go to the last 30 days because it's been crazy. So we got Vince Carter, Scottie Pippen, Kevin Garnett, Dirk, a lot of Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers in there. But then you take a look at what's been going down, a lot of playoff drops. Jokic, Jimmy Butler, Kendrick Nunn, blah, 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 blah. A lot of players going down. And what's really interesting, there's Tyler Hero as well. What's really interesting is I want to show you guys what Anthony Davis and LeBron James's cards have been doing because, you know, the whole point is, hey, if they win it all, their cards will go through the roof. But that might not necessarily be the case. Over to football. Let's see, last 30 days, obviously we got a couple increases here. A lot of vintage. Gale Sayers, Marcus Allen, O.J. Simpson even. Big Ben is back up. Jim Kelly, Jim Brown. So vintage is going up, which is a bit interesting, probably because current players are just overpriced. But then if you go down to the biggest drops, Mitch Trubisky, yeah, well, you're horrible. Dwayne Haskins, Ray Lewis, which is a bit weird. Juju Smith-Schuster, blah, 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 blah. Dak Prescott, obviously, gone down a lot, and he's going to be one of my primary targets for next season. Over to baseball. I don't know anything here. Dustin, I'm not sure if you know anything in baseball.
Yeah, outside of vintage, some of the vintage baseball guys, I'm just not into it. Just to be perfectly frank, I don't want to. You know, I know some of the stars, but I don't follow it enough to be, you know, to even be dangerous. To to be fair.
Okay, well, sounds good. Neither do I. So if you want me to look up prices of baseball cards, then I can do that as well. But it's pretty much should be in line with the playoffs, right? There's 4 teams left. The Rays have been sucking hardcore after going up 3-0, and whoever loses, their cards are going to drop. But that's normal. So we're having a lot of good performance-based drops there. Soccer, I don't know a damn thing about, but Jadon Sancho, whoever you are, you've been bombing like hell in your card prices. Neymar as well in the last 30 days. And then specific cards I can go into, but I want to bring it back to you, Dustin, because I have specific cards that have been dropping that I could look up. But what are you finding in your own research? What's your strategy? What are you buying right now? What are you selling?
Yeah, I'm not really selling much. I don't think it's a great time to sell. It doesn't feel like it anyway. And I could be wrong. I'm sure there's pockets. You know, there's probably pockets here and there where there's some good sales opportunities. But I've really just been kind of sitting on the sidelines and watching here recently. I am targeting certain players, certain cards, but I'm not buying as much as I was previously because again, I'm just kind of in more of a wait and see mode. And yeah, the Pokemon stuff. I made a video on Pokemon a couple of days ago, and it's more of just saying that I'm going to be looking more into it. But for basketball specifically, I'm looking at guys like Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell. I think that not necessarily Tyler Hero, but he kind of falls into. He's a little bit too new for me as a rookie. But I'm looking more at guys that are, not really looking as much at the latest draft class. So I'm not really looking at Zion, Ja, or like a Tyler Hero. Looking more at like the Jamal Murrays, the Tatums, the Donovan Mitchells, because those guys, they really showed me. The thing that was impressive to me is they did well in the playoffs. Devin Booker would be another guy that I'm paying attention to. He's 23 years old. I mean, even AD, I want to see how far some of AD's stuff goes because he's 27. Just won his first championship. I mean, he could win a few championships with the Lakers. So, and I was looking at his Prism rookie card PSA 10. That thing went as high as $3,600.
Yeah.
It came down to about 2,000. Then it dropped to 1,200. And then I saw that they were about $1,500. I don't own them. But I was just thinking, like, if that goes to $1,000, I might pull the trigger on one. And that would be the most expensive single card I've ever bought. But
yeah,
I feel like.
Can you see the screen real quick?
I can see it, yeah.
Okay. If you guys can see it, this is the card you're referencing. This is the 2012 PSA 10. And this was the point I wanted to make earlier, which is the hype around the NBA playoffs was its highest in August. And like you said, this card went up to $3,800. And the last sale was at $1,288 in spite of them actually winning. Like the prophecy came true, and the card still pretty much has tanked overall.
Yeah, well, and it's what we talk about as far as selling the hype, and then when the actual event comes, we reference this in other videos. With same thing with Marvel movies, with comic books, where you have first appearance. Let's use Black Panther as an example. The Black Panther movie came out, but leading up to that movie, the first appearance of Black Panther shot up, and then once the movie comes, it kind of cools off. Everyone's kind of like takes it in, and it seems to be similar. I think the one thing though that where this differentiates is there was a lot of people talking about, previous to this happening, this fallout of, hey, look, there's no off season anymore. There's no off season. The demand is high. Prices are going to stay high. I heard a lot of that leading up to, September. Now we are seeing, a little bit of a correction or a little bit of a dip or whatever you want to call that. So I think that those are interesting trends to watch for sure.
Sounds good. Yeah. And what's interesting is like, I couldn't tell if the hype would be greater than when you actually win, because the idea of, all right, there's whatever, how many teams were in the bubble? It was like most of the league, it seemed like 24 teams or 18 teams or whatever. It was like entering the bubble, and everyone's like, the Lakers have it. Oh, the Clippers, the Bucks. And you saw those prices soar. And the fact that the Lakers actually won, and that's what I'm going to show real quick, is LeBron James. This is his 2003 Topps PSA 9. This is the hype right here. This is the buildup, August 9th. That it was like a 2-week period where it was at its highest. And now the last sale, in spite of adding to his legacy, winning with the Lakers, $1,100. So we're seeing 2,200, literally half of it. So the lesson I'm getting, and this spike right here, if you see on the right, this spike is on the 10th of October. This was a day before they won. So literally someone paid for $1,500 for this card the day before they won, probably in anticipation of it going up after the Lakers win. And the next sale, lower, all the way down to 1,046. So the only point I wanted to make was it was a great learning lesson as to hype it looks like it's even stronger than when the player actually wins and their legacy is strengthened, which tells me, in terms of what I'm doing right now, is I want to buy up a lot of basketball. I want to buy up a lot because, and the order at which I want to do it in is who is going to be the most hyped at first, and then also who is going to be, if 10,000 investors get Christmas presents of $500 eBay cards, right? I bet there's going to be a lot of eBay gift cards given out for Christmas and singles and things like that. Who are they going to target first? And I'm actually thinking guys like Ja, Zion, Luka, Trey. Some of them are great. Some of them aren't great yet. But who are you spending your money on first? And I think a lot of people would be spending their money on the cool young guys first versus the guys that are actually going to do well later in the year, and then they're not as exciting because they're more established. And then I saw here, Gary, I'm going to look up whoever you said, Bam Adebayo. Okay, I'll look him up for you.
One thing I want to add to that, because you're talking about, just the basketball season, and then we're coming into off season. One thing that's been interesting, if you're looking at the data on modern vintage and whether it's basketball, football, hockey, across the board, you saw a huge spike in August. And then in September, all of it came down in September. And that's even for vintage guys that aren't playing anymore, that aren't playing. So it was just kind of interesting to watch that. The overall sports card market dipped in September based on a lot of the comps that I've looked at.
Pretty much everything except for guys that surprised in the playoffs had just been up, and then the steady decline. And then now it's a bit of a flattening. But it's great because it's like literally the formula is out there of when the hype is the highest, sell. And that 2 weeks in August, it looked like August 2nd to August 14th, somewhere in there was where it really just maxed out. And I'd have to look up the dates as to when the bubble started or when the playoffs started. But I just as a rule of thumb, when that anticipation gets so high and when the media is all about what about this team, what about this player, all that, that's when I'm going to sell. And I think that's also why I've been buying a lot of basketball now, because no one is talking about basketball. Like no one's talking about a lot of these players that have been eliminated and a lot of these cards. And then people don't really have money now. So I'm kind of counting on the fact that people don't have money, because if they did, there'd be more of a bidding war. But without the stimulus checks and without holidays, I want to be buying a lot up until Thanksgiving, because I'm thinking like, day after Thanksgiving, the whole mindset shifts to holiday spending, gift cards for this person, buy him this card that's on his wish list, blah, 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 blah. And what's your thoughts on the next couple months? Because I'm going to look up Bam while you answer this, but what's your thoughts on the next couple months with everything? And and remind me to go back to Pokemon, because there's something I wanted to show you on that as well.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that thinking. I think I'll be, well, and let's just say if things don't pick up around the holidays, if things don't pick up with, the excitement of a new NBA season, if things don't pick up, because of exactly what you're talking about, holiday spending, new stimulus checks probably that are coming regardless of who wins the election. If things don't pick up November, end of November, December time, then I'll be a little concerned, because I feel like, with the new NBA season starting, I would expect there to be, more money flowing into the market. And maybe it doesn't hit price, maybe it doesn't reach where we saw it, but I do expect a bump for sure.
Yeah, I do too. I think that it's more of waves. Like if it was every month had highs, lows, and it was very steady, it wouldn't really make sense. But I think the thing that excites me the most is being able to tie in what's going on with sports and the calendar year with how people operate on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. Because, at the end of the month, a lot of people literally have to save up and for their rent or their mortgage of the next month. And if you ask eBay sellers, a lot of them will say, sell on Sundays. Usually it's the second week or the third week of the month that they'll see higher sales. There's a lot of like rules of thumbs, just because people have more money at certain parts of the month than others, and they're available and they have the time to look up cards certain days more than others. And I don't know how many eBay listings you've missed out on or auctions because it ends at like 4 a.m. your time on a Tuesday. But if it were 6 p.m. on a Sunday, you would have gotten the reminder and would have bid at the last second versus just letting it go. And because that happens to me all the time.
Yep.
Let me show you one thing. I'm going to show you Bam Adebayo, and I want to get your take on what you think of him as a player. But first, I want to show you this right here. This is from Card Ladder, and this is their daily email. And this one really stuck out. This Charizard right here, population of just under 5,000. sold for $5,100
Wow.
yesterday. And this was, I mean, I'd have to check all these sales, but this was only $1,700 2 weeks ago. And, you know, when I think of what caused this, I can't help but think of the fact that a lot of these influencers, Logan Paul and I forgot who else. I think,
Yeah,
was it Justin Bieber or someone else that's
there's been a few.
about.
Yeah, I think Selena Gomez talked about Pokemon cards. I mean, there's a lot of a lot of influencers that young people follow. Yeah, they're all over it. And I didn't not to cut you off, but I didn't realize too. Just I reached out to a few of my buddies recently and colleagues that are about 30. They're like 30-year-old guys, and I was like, hey, have you did you ever collect sports cards? Have you, just to kind of like feel them out to see if they were would be interested in what we talk about? And they were like, you know what? I didn't have sports cards, but I had a ton of Pokemon cards. And it was just funny, like literally like all the guys I talked to, and I have a little brother that just turned 33. I'm 39 for those who don't know, but and he had Pokemon cards as well. So I'm starting to really kind of understand the nostalgia piece of it. Obviously it's starting to come back around, to these guys that now have careers and they've got some money and they're going after the cards that maybe they couldn't get, as kids. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Go back to what you were saying.
Well, with Pokemon, I think that's a very, like with kids and with these big influencers, I think that's going to be, if sports cards don't really pick up over Christmas, which I would be very shocked if they don't, Pokemon cards really should. I mean, because it's like kids, it's adults. And I think when you see these types of numbers where, hey, it's doubling and doubling, that's kind of what we saw back in July going into August, where a lot of people might be mindlessly just buying whatever card because the rate of growth is going through the roof right now, partly because of all the attention Pokemon's getting. And then, I remember Gary saying and others saying that next year is the 25th anniversary, right? Of Pokemon.
Yeah, I believe that's right. Yep.
So if it's the 25th anniversary and everyone knows that, my thought process is, will it go up more next year? Or will this be the moment of hype, kind of like entering the playoffs, kind of like entering the finals, where do you really want to be buying in the 25th anniversary year, or with everyone knowing it's going to be big next year, kind of like selling it now, and then everyone is just stuck there with these cards that are overpriced, or like, kind of like just buying in August thinking, hey, it's going to go back up because LeBron is going to win it all. And then we see that LeBron and AD win, and the cards are still half the price of what it was in August.
The one thing I'm trying to wrap my head around with Pokemon, and maybe I know you had Pokemon cards as well that you had brought on your show, but the thing that I keep hearing about with Pokemon is Charizard, and I hear about, Red Cheeks Pikachu and Yellow Cheeks Pikachu and those things. But my point is I'm not hearing about all the other people, all the other characters. Like, it's not like, I'm hearing a ton about Charizard, a ton. And when I talk to people, I hear that he's like the LeBron of Pokemon is Charizard.
Yeah.
So is everyone just buying the Charizard cards from 1999 to now, or are they buying all the other ones too? Are those also as popular? I know
I'm
that
gonna get my Charizards. Hold on.
All right. I guess what I'm getting at is I'm hearing about a handful of characters with it, 4 or 5, but I know there's a lot more than that. I know there's trainer cards. There's all these different types of cards.
I should really put this in a grading sleeve, knowing how much they're worth now, but I got a couple Blastoises as well.
Brad's retiring on these.
These are still, it's funny, like I have cards worth $10 that are in brand new penny sleeves and top loaders and card savers, and these are still in the original packaging that I had when I was 12. But no, see, that's the interesting thing, which I don't really get about Pokemon, is how do you strategize for other Pokemon? Like that I don't really get. Let me look up Bam Adebayo, because I told Gary I would, real quick. What's up, Ziggy? So this is Bam, and just let me know you could see this okay. And just like other basketball, his cards have gone down. Let me look up his Prism base. And one thing I got to say that I like about Market Movers, which they added, is here on the top right, they actually have filter by sale price. So you can actually eliminate really expensive cards or really cheap cards or whatever's outside of your budget or your interest. That's something that I kind of included in my review video is that I just want to be able to eliminate a bunch of that stuff. So look at this, man. 204 of his Prism base PSA 10s, and this is Bam right here. Peaked recently at 495. Before that, 550, and the last one 230.
Wow. Oh, did I lose you, Brad? Can you hear me? I can't hear anything. Can anybody hear me? I can't see the regular chat, so I have no idea if anyone can hear me or see me, but I lost Brad. So anyway, I'm going to talk about Bam. So I like Bam. My only thing is he's a big man, and big men don't always get the hobby love. The other thing I'm a little bit concerned about, or not concerned about, but it's just something I was thinking about, is I think the Heat are going to make a play to try to get Giannis. And so then my question is, if you're buying a lot of Bam, are they going to trade Bam to get Giannis as part of a package, and then Bam plays for the Bucks, and then maybe his stuff is not as popular as it was when he was on the Heat. But I really like Bam as a player. Hopefully we'll have Brad here soon. I'm going to text Brad and see if So I don't know if anybody can hear me or see me. Brad just texted me back that he's having some internet issues. So I'm just going to talk, and I have no idea if anybody can hear this or not. I'm taking over the Comeback Card Investor Show. I know that he's coming back on soon. He's trying to get back on. But let's go back, and I guess I said my piece on Bam. For the Pokemon stuff, are there other guys outside of Charizard that you would buy or looking into? And just let me know if I'm missing something there. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. If there's a question or I guess comments, from people that know more about Pokemon than I do, which is 99.9% of people. But yeah, so that was something I wanted to throw out there for the Pokemon. For the Heat and for Bam, I'm gonna try to just kind of keep going on with what Brad was talking about. I really like the Heat as a young team. I think it's going to be tough though for them. I think that there's going to be some issues, probably salary cap issues that are going to come up here over the next few years for them. But they're such a good young team. I am very, very interested to see if they make a play for Giannis. And I do think that they've got a shot to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I think the East is going to get better as well. The West is so stacked that I just can't imagine that the West is so stacked that you're much easier road to play in the East to get to the final. So the Heat are always, I think, going to be in the mix there. But I see some of those other teams, Toronto, Boston in particular, being teams that are difficult to contend with, in the East. But we'll have to see. Other young NBA players that I like as far as buying opportunities. We touched on this in the beginning of the show. I don't own very much. I think I've got one or two Jamal Murray cards, but Jamal Murray is a guy that really flashed in the playoffs. He was really, really impressive to me. He had some of those Jordan-esque moves, which I know it's just a highlight reel, but I thought it was really interesting. to watch. I just thought, I didn't know a lot about the Nuggets, going into the playoffs. Hadn't watched a lot of their basketball games, and just watching them in the playoffs kind of do their thing. And I thought it was pretty impressive. But the West is going to be brutal, especially with, the Warriors coming back. I've talked about it before on my show too. The Warriors coming back at full strength. They've got a top draft pick. I think that, Clay and Steph are going to be ready to make a splash. When they come back, I think that they're going to be in the top 3, top 4 seeds, even with all those other teams being as good as they are in the West. I think they're going to be in the mix. So the NBA is going to be, it's an interesting place to watch for sure. We'll have to see. Oh, is this Brad back? Can you see me, man? Can you hear me? I see you, but I can't hear anything. Hey,
my internet. Well, here's the thing. My internet's perfect, and then it just starts loading, and you can't hear anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All of this is now on my phone. All this is like a hotspot on my phone. So I got like my camera to this to like 19 tabs. So I have no idea how this is gonna work. But it's one of those annoying things where the internet's perfect, and then all of a sudden it's just like disconnected, and then you try and connect. It's like, no. Here's all the bars. We're just not going to give you internet. Here's 5 bars. You have great connection. Something's just missing.
Okay.
So anyway, I don't know what you were talking about, but I'm glad you were here, because then everyone would have just bailed otherwise.
I just started talking about Pikachu. And just went on about that for 10 minutes. So half the crowd probably left. No. I just, what I was talking about the Heat. I was talking about basketball, but I can't see the chat. So I can't see if anyone, like comments on the chat.
Okay. On the right side, do you see that though? On the right side, the comments of StreamYard.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see it.
Banners.
I got it.
Does that not show up for you?
I can see it, but it's still, your internet is still choppy. Yeah. This is awesome. Hey, your dial-up modem. I think it's your dial-up modem.
Do this. There you go. Okay, well, before my internet bails again, let me see if I can just show these Bam Adebayo big drops. And I don't know if this showed up last time. Okay. Well, it's hotspot, so it's even worse. So that is Bam. I don't know if you see that. I'm going to.
Brad froze again. I've been telling Brad to get, to update from that dial-up modem, but he will not come off of it. He's still got the AOL email address and everything. It's, he won't listen. So this is where we are now, guys. So I don't have any sort of plans. I don't have any, I'm definitely on the spot here. So, but I can see the comments. So thank you very much for commenting. I'll try to answer. Just throw some stuff in the comments, and I'll try to talk about it. Yeah, I know Brad. He's just stuck on that AOL. That he's just the dial-up network. He just he can't get off of it. I've told him, look, there's high-speed options, and he's just like, no, I'm not. So I don't. Look, that's his nostalgia thing. That's his nostalgia. The dial-up network. He's got a vintage modem. Brad's investing in vintage dial-up modems. All right, so yeah, are there actually? If we want to have a Pokemon discussion, we'll throw it all in the chat and we'll talk about it. LeBron is the Charmander. Then when he wins 6 rings, he becomes a Charizard. Yeah. Charmander is the smaller Charizard. Now I'm just sounding bad, sounding horrible. Yeah, are there any, Ziggy No asks, are there any numbered Pokemon cards? That's a good question. I mean, I know they're numbered, but they're not numbered like that on the back. LeBron Pokemon character is Sprite. That's awesome. Which rookie cards am I looking at now, Shelly? So as I said, Jamal Murray is a big one. I shouldn't even say, because I don't even own enough Jamal Murrays, and I don't want to have to compete with all of you all for Jamal Murray cards. But Jamal Murray is somebody that I'm definitely looking at. I'm still looking. There's a lot of cards that, the big one, honestly, is that 2012 Anthony Davis PSA 10 Prism rookie card, because that was one that I wanted previously. It shot up to, as Brad was saying, it shot up to $3,800. It's come back down, but I'm really paying very close attention to that one. At $1,000, I would have a hard time, I think, not pulling the trigger on one of those, just because I do think that AD, now he's got a ring. Now he's probably solidified, or at least he's very close to Hall of Fame level talk. Even though he's 27 years old, he's got a championship, and then he's a dominant player. If he can throw a few more good seasons behind it and then retired at 30, 31, I think he would be in that conversation. He's been that dominant. So the big one that I'm really paying attention to is AD. I'm also paying a lot of attention to Luka Doncic stuff. And I know I'm a homer. I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, and I know that everybody's looking at Luka stuff, but his stuff has gone down quite a bit too. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to see if I can add in here. Hold on one second. Brad is trying to get in. How do let's see. Hold on one second, guys. Sit tight. Hey, you know what? This was all in the plan. This whole Brad jumps in, Brad jumps out thing. This was all in the plan, just to see how many people would stay on. This is really just a case study to see how many people are going to stay watching. So for those that understand StreamYard very well that are watching, somehow I am now in control of the stream, but I don't see where to add him back in. So if anybody knows.
Oh my God, am I back?
This is like, yes,
a disaster. Holy shit, man.
Yeah. Dude, back in the Matrix.
This is why you never go solo. Okay, I have no idea.
The Matrix.
If anyone has an idea why in the world your internet goes from working perfectly fine to just disconnected, please let me know. Yeah, but seriously, this is why it's always good to have backups. In fact, look, here's my cell phone. Oh, I tried to add my cell phone trying to get on it as well. All right, let's catch up on things. What's the latest conversation before the internet takes another dump on me?
All right, so I was talking about so actually Shelly asked what rookie cards are you targeting? I was talking about Luka Doncic stuff because he's kind of the obvious one where, oh yeah, well, first off, I said that you were investing in vintage dial-up modems.
But they're still in the box. I got to keep them in the box, so it's really hard to connect them while they're still in the work around it.
Brad's looking for unopened AOL join internet packages.
Yeah. Yeah. The 2.0, the 2.0 CD, please.
I brought up, so we were talking about Bam. We talked about the possibility of Bam. I was saying, look, the Heat could trade for Bam, or the Heat could trade for Giannis, trade Bam to get Giannis as part of the package. And so that's where I really like Bam a lot. But if he goes to the Bucks, I don't like Bam as much. So with all the kind of the rumor of Bam going to, or Giannis going to the Heat, I would just be a little bit worried about Bam being part of that package, which I would assume that it would have to be for the Bucks to accept it.
Okay. Did you guys get to see the chart I pulled up of Bam or no? Did that not go through?
Yeah, we saw it, and then that's right where it froze. So I don't know if that's like a cursed chart.
I mean, I got a lot of reasons why it would screw up. I'm nervous to press share screen because this might overload my entire thing, but let's just give it a shot just for the hell of it.
We're pushing this dial-up modem to the edge.
Okay. So if you see right here, this is not nearly as extreme of a chart as some of the other guys. 615, 828. It's still okay. Last sales 615, the high of 1,000. So I mean, in terms of relatively to how discounted Bam is, I can't say it's nearly as discounted as some of the others, like the Anthony Davis rookie card. I think that would be a much better value at $1,000 or $1,200 overall, or a lot safer. But regardless, just wanted to pull that up because right now I'm looking more at what's on sale at the steepest discount versus the player itself. So if there's like 10 players that all have good reason for them to be doing well next season, or a lot of possibility and potential, I want the ones that are at the steepest discount at this point. And that's, I think, why I like the idea of going after Ja and Zion, because I feel like I can get rid of those guys before the next season begins because they may be the first targets. Someone also mentioned Steph Curry and KD, and I think Klay Thompson's another guy that is worth considering as well. I gotta put this up there. Hey, this is a great way to earn some money. It's like,
hey, I'm gonna start doing dial-up modems for my live so I get some super chat money.
I appreciate that, Michael. But here's the thing.
That's awesome.
So my strategy, at least, here's my thought process. There's a lot of ideas as to who to invest in next season, but my thought process is more like I want to invest in the players that are the first targets, right? KD, Steph Curry, Zion, Ja, like the ones that are hyped, or the ones that there's going to be hype because they're coming back after disappointing seasons. And then get rid of those cards before next season begins, kind of like how we saw that peak in NFL as well, where I was selling Chris Godwin optic rookie cards for, I think, like 14, 15, $18, something like that. Literally, I went on CompC the other day and bought a Chris Godwin optic rookie card for $3. And I was like, you know what? He's a great player, had some injuries. He should be back in the next week or so, maybe tomorrow. But man, that initial surge of you're on the top of everyone's charts before the season means that if I can get in and buy those cards before everyone else is looking at those same articles and headlines and charts, I can sell it right when they're looking at it. And then when the players disappoint, go in again, buy the Godwins, buy the Michael Thomas, buy certain players like maybe even Drew Brees, depending on what's going to happen with the Saints the rest of the year, as like a second wave. But my thought process is just I want to get in now of who is going to be targeted first, but who's on the steepest discount at this moment.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that with guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees too, that are kind of coming towards the end of their career, there's going to be good buying opportunities when they do leave the league for like that year after, when everyone's focused on that next round of superstars, whoever they're going to be. And I think the same goes for basketball. One guy that I'm really concerned about is Kevin Durant. You know, there's a lot of big talk about Kevin Durant coming back, and Achilles. If you look, I've been learning a lot more about Achilles injuries for NBA players specifically, and they're not friendly to NBA players. So, and maybe Kevin Durant will be the outlier in that, and he'll come back and do amazing things. But if I was, and I'm not buying a lot of Kevin Durant, I own some of his stuff, not much. I own a handful of cards, but I'm most likely going to sell those cards right as the season is about to start. That's probably when I'll look to sell them. Because
I mean, same here. The KDs I have are to sell before the season starts, because it's like, even if we look at the NBA and NFL, only Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, and a handful of guys went up more from their preseason prices. A lot of them went down even while performing pretty well. And it looks like the majority of players just go down. So a lot, like, the thought process I have now is I'm almost considering going all in of buying as much basketball as possible up until Thanksgiving, as in how much can I buy before stimulus checks and holiday spending come, just to then sell during holidays and before tip-off, whether that's in January or early February, whenever that is, just because it's pretty much like zero risk. If I can't sell at a profit, then the season goes on and perhaps that player actually does really well. But if I can get 2x the price without any games being played, that's pretty hard to say no to. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a bit of my thought process there. I like the idea of Kevin Durant being an all-time great and a champion. It's just I feel like him and Steph Curry are such obvious targets that their prices haven't been too soft the way other guys have. In fact, let me look up I'm risking screwing the internet up again, but I was going to look up what KD and Steph Curry's prices have been, because I doubt it would have spiked the same way as the other guys that went into the playoffs and then disappointed. So let's see, Kevin Durant. Let's see, 2007 Topps Chrome. And I don't know if I'm sharing this now. Let me see here. Let's add this. This is where it gets dangerous for the internet. Okay. Okay, so it did spike a decent amount on the second. So this is almost a $2,000 card. This is his Topps Chrome PSA 9, and now it's hovering around 1,000. So okay.
And look at that again. It's August.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all August. It's always, this one is actually a bit later. This was first week of September, which a lot of the cards I saw around first week, second week of August. So, but it's always in that range, and then it just plummets. I mean, literally, it went from a high of 1937 to 1,300 in 3 days. And then I don't know if this is legit or what happened here. That's $600. I can't even guess if that is accurate, because that's such a steep drop. But then it looks pretty level here around $1,000. But will it hit 2,000 again before the season starts? I don't know. That could be too much of a stretch. And then if it doesn't, then you're relying on Kevin Durant actually coming back and performing well, versus just the ability to sell before anyone even sees any action. And that's what I like, is like, that's the whole thing with Zion for me, is let me buy Zion really cheap, so that when the kids get their Christmas presents and whatever else, and the headlines come out and his body looks better and whatever, he's been working on a shot, that's enough for me to say, okay, I'll sell for 2x, hopefully 3x if it's one of those cheaper cards. Because what if he does suck? What if he gets injured the first game of the year? And so that's more like what I'm waiting for.
And that KD rookie card, that Topps Chrome one, I mean, if you're holding it long term, then that's a whole nother ball game too. I mean, if you're just going to hold it long term, then I think KD long term is a good play. I do think he'll go down as one of the best players ever. And so I don't think he's a bad long term hold. It's just being careful if you want that card, not buying at super high prices now. It's like when you're seeing this volatility, just try to get in on it when it's at least not at the height.
That's it. I mean, it's just, are a lot of people talking about the player? Because if so, that's automatically a red flag for me. And that's also why the KD and the Steph Curry, I was trying to buy them before the playoffs, knowing that most attention and most money will be going to the 20 teams that are somehow in the bubble. knowing that, okay, if most people are going there, let me see what KD and Steph Curry prices are. I bought like 5 or 6 Nikola Jokic Prism rookie cards off of CompC for literally $40 to $50 a piece. And I thought that was a great deal for a Prism rookie when you have other guys with raw Prism rookies that are $100, $150. Even Damian Lillard, who I love, it's still roughly $250. And I was like, that's pretty damn good if I can get his Prism rookie for $40 to $50. That should be an easy 2x profit margin there. I saw Ziggy asked about how my submissions on CompC were doing. I had to email them about my biggest submission, which was 474 cards. And I emailed them last week, and I got a default response saying, we'll look into it, thanks. But that was a Kobe Bryant finest rookie. That was 5 or 6 Anthony Davis Brilliance rookie cards, which were still like $40, maybe $50 a piece, plus 400 Chrome Kobe Bryant's, Tom Brady's, and a lot of cards that really should move in the next month or two. And I don't know what the hell's going to happen with that. So, Ziggy, if you're still on here, I'm disappointed with CompC. So let's take some questions before we hop off here, because I see a lot of questions, and let's just go as fast as possible, see if we can nail some of these. Okay. Sam Darnold, PSA 10 for $22 on Star Stock. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I can't stay far enough away from Sam Darnold, but I do understand though, if you really like Sam Darnold and he's just not on a good team but you really believe in him, I totally get I get the intrigue. Just for me, it's just, he hasn't shown me enough. He hasn't had just like one really good season behind him, to where I could say like, okay, well, he's got it. I mean, I'm just not sure if there's just too much QB talent in the league right now, and it's just tough to get a starting job. So I don't know, but that's a crazy price.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the price, a PSA 10 of any card for $22, it's low enough risk in terms of the amount you're paying, not in terms of the player itself. So
for sure,
that's a gamble. It's not like, man, this is a solid investment. It's more like, hey, it's a gamble, but the upside could easily be a $60 card with one little break. And then let's see here, Sam.
And if he breaks out, it's a few $100.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. But I mean, someone like him, it just depends on where you'd want to sell it. But that could easily go to 40 or 60 or 80 or 100 with very little good news. Just one great game. Sam, Tom Brady, but don't get into football. Anyone have opinion on new Bucks cards? I'd love to have them myself, but I'm not going to pay for them right now because they're going to be a premium. That's my take.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would probably just wait for them to cool off a little bit. Maybe like next off season or something, buy them or take a look again. Especially like his new Prism stuff is going to be super expensive. I would assume Prism in general is going to be expensive, but yeah, I think that you'll be able to get those at good deals down the road. Yeah,
I mean, who wants a Michael Jordan Wizards jersey card now? I mean, like, maybe when he just came back to the league and then here he is in the Wizards jersey and all Washington fans go crazy and Michael Jordan collectors go crazy and buy it. But even as a fan of the Bucks, I'm not going to buy those cards now because it's not on sale. But down the road, I'll buy a couple for myself, but I can't imagine them being worth much at all down the road, really. Like, I mean, I look at Jordan Wizards cards, I'm like, oh, God, like I don't even want to look at them. It almost upsets me that I get reminded that he played for another team just because I really like to look at Jordan in the Red Bulls jersey. Super bad 0415. I do not. I try and stay away from Instagram because it looks like CNN and Fox, and it's just like a bunch of like shit on there now. I don't even like Instagram anymore.
Yeah, I don't use it that much either, but I do show some of my cards on IG. I think on IG, I'm just the personal finance dad. If you want, and it's a lot of vintage football, super bad. So if you're not into vintage football cards, it might not be interesting.
Yeah, I'm bored already.
Yeah,
super bad.
Yeah, Brad unfollowed me like 2 weeks ago. He's like, "This is dark."
Bloop, just removed from stream. That's a fun button. Okay, well, if super bad, if that's your IG, just put it down there below, and other people can check it out. Oh, okay, there we go. Same name, right? Okay, Kyrie Irving was another interesting one. Any thoughts on Kyrie coming into this year?
That's kind of my reaction to Kyrie. I'm just not a fan. I just think he's kind of he needs attention too much. He's just kind of a diva, in my opinion. He's just never really been a great teammate. I don't think. I think he's a great talent, but the NBA is loaded with great talent. So I'd rather just follow guys that are likable, that have great talent.
Yeah, like for me, Kyrie's a great preseason sell. As in, if you find deals on him, he's someone I would sell because of the hype of a new coach, KD, and like, oh man, how are the Nets going to look? And they're in a big market. I do like the fact that he has acting chops. He is off the wall. I wish he was off the wall in a more likable way, because I know he is. I thought he was like the first vegan or plant-based athlete, and there's certain things that I could see him being known for after his career. But if you're not likable, that really makes it hard. If you have the acting chops, if you're like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, where it's like you're an actor, you're a businessman, but you're also really likable, that's different. And for Kyrie, I'm like, dude, some of the things you say, I'm just like, anyway. So short term, if you find a deal, I'm good with it. I just I wouldn't like him long term. Gary, pre-bubble prices. I think right now the pre-bubble prices I'm seeing are closer to June and July. So the spike, the biggest bubble was that August to September period. And I still feel like, look, I get these card ladder emails. Auctions are, the record-breaking prices are happening all the time on the higher end. And that makes me think that it has to trickle down. So it won't always be this giant bubble, but the overall bottom will not be what it was in 2019 or early 2020. I think that percentage will go up and more people are entering. But when it surges up, when it spikes up like that, that's when I'd want to sell as well. But in terms of basketball, I'm feeling like right now is a good time where things are pretty level, and it makes sense from a logical standpoint that people aren't interested. They don't have the money. Maybe they've been burnt, but with more people entering, and then the holidays, and then celebrities and new card shops. And, I went to 2 new card shops here that opened in the last 2 months just in LA. So I see that kind of stuff. And I think when you see the Pokemon prices go crazy because of Logan Paul and Gary Vee and whoever else, hey, Logan Paul, hey, I want to invest $200,000 in National Treasures. Boom. Now what are we going to see? So that's my thoughts. Yours?
Yeah, I think it definitely has the ability, the whole kind of, a rising tide lifts all boats. I don't think it's a given necessarily. I think that you can have just kind of the higher price stuff stay high and the other stuff is kind of whatever. A lot of people have kind of, come back to me and said, well, sealed wax is still really expensive. And that is true. I mean, like new product is what they're talking about. Hobby boxes are still $1,000. And that is true that, the sought after, new product is still extremely expensive. So the demand is certainly there for certain things. I think what's kind of fun to watch is really 90% of the card market is down probably if you look across the board, but it's kind of fun to see which ones do you believe are really too far down and which ones, you're kind of playing this game of, which players have come down, but they're just like, they've come way down. And that's where, I brought up Anthony Davis. His Prism rookie card, because that's one that's intriguing just because he's one of the hottest players of the second right now. And you have to assume that leading into the next season, he will again be, a hot player in the league, top 5 player with LeBron. So, but yeah, I think it's fun kind of what you're doing, following the data to see kind of which players have gone down, but which ones don't, where it doesn't make sense. Like it just doesn't make sense that they're down 60%, whereas, another player only went down 30%. And then, that stuff is fun.
And that's why I like using Comp C, because the way it's set up, it's very easy to compare, like look at a whole set and then look at the 5 rookies there and go, damn, like Trae Young is so much less than Luka or like there's just, you can compare the exact same card. You can compare the base to the silver. And I need that kind of organization. But that's why I got on those Jokic Prism rookies, because I'm like $40 to $50 a piece for a Prism rookie. That's pretty damn good in my book. And then I also saw that it sold up to like $168 during the peak. So I'm like, all right, that could easily be $80, 90, 100 when a guy like Damian Lillard who's great. And I like Damian Lillard and I like investing in him, but his Prism Raw card was around 280, $300. I'm like, well, I think Jokic is the better investment for that price. But it really comes down to for that price, right? It's not like, Sam Darnold, PSA 10, what's the price you're paying? If it's $3, I think that's amazing. If it's $22, I think that's still pretty good. But it's always that risk reward. Wandering Asian asks about PSA 9s over PSA 10s if you're on a budget. What are your thoughts, Dustin?
Yeah, absolutely. I usually kind of have a ratio of, if it's under 25%, if it's between 20 and 25% of a 10 and it's a player card I really, really want, then that's where I really take a hard look at it. 20% is really kind of that threshold, meaning that if the PSA 9, the price of the PSA 9 is 20% or lower, I suppose, of the PSA 10 for modern or ultra modern cards, that's kind of my threshold. It's different for vintage. I bought a lot of like PSA 9, now vintage, some people wouldn't call this vintage, but like 84 tops. Let's just use Eric Dickerson rookie cards as an example. You can get his PSA 9, or you could anyway, for about $100, $90, $100. The PSA 10, because there's so much less of the PSA 10, they're literally 10 times as much. So there's a huge gap, with vintage. But you have to look at the modern and the ultra modern, the stuff that's been printed over the last few years differently, because they're just the pop reports are different for those. But yeah, definitely. I love PSA 9s. I think PSA 9s can be a great value, especially with the cost of grading only going up. I don't see that really changing anytime soon. The demand has never been higher for PSA products, for PSA graded products. So yeah, I mean, if you can, find some values there in that PSA 9, if it's the player that you believe in, and the other thing I was gonna throw in there too, Brad, is a lot of times in the last 6 months, I've gone back to second-year cards, or I've gone back to first-year unis at a new team for guys that I really like, but I couldn't afford. Like, let's use Kawhi Leonard as an example. I couldn't afford, maybe it wasn't in my budget to get like his 2012 Prism rookie card in a PSA 9 or a 10. So I bought some of the first-year uni Clippers stuff. Really like that stuff long-term as well. But my point is, with it being more of kind of buying season with prices coming back down, I'm now going back more to those rookie cards that I couldn't afford. And it's like, well, let's go back and check those, because they might not have been affordable over the last 6 months, but we might be reaching a point where those are coming down enough that they are in your range.
Yeah. And you bring up an interesting point about those uni cards. And I think that was really confusing for me at first, because look, rookie cards are rookie cards. We understand the value there. When you're going off into, all right, first year of this team, and then we're going this, it's getting further and further away from the known, which is just we value that first year in that professional jersey. And that's why when I was buying the first year Anthony Davis optic cards, I mean, it was like $2 max I would spend on a card, because I know it's mass produced. It wasn't a hollow or anything like that. And I even if he won, I'm still not selling those cards. I mean, they're listed at like $6 or $8, but still, it's not like there's a huge demand for it. And I feel like a lot of people that are after the first year uni cards are the new demographic entering that might be in and out very quickly. While if I could afford the rookie cards, even if the deal's not as good, I still feel like there's way more security in that. And that's the thing that kind of like, it's that balance of, I can get first year Kevin Durant optic cards and mosaics and prisms and whatever really cheap. But I might just be selling to flippers and for people that are into hype, and then they're going to be out of the hobby very quickly, while the rookie cards and very rare cards or autos or jerseys or whatever, even though I'd have to buy less of them and the deals might not be as good, it's still such a proven card that I don't have to worry about it being a trend or a fad, because that's what I still don't understand. Like Kawhi in the Clippers jersey, I bought several of those cards, again, really cheap, maybe 10 or 15 optic. But if he leaves the Clippers or he doesn't win with the Clippers, then what? It's not worth shit. I mean, it wouldn't. It's like more like that was the bad part of your career. You know what I mean? That's my perspective, though. I don't know what he's going to do with the Clippers, or if that's going to hold value long term if he doesn't win a championship. But my perspective is, if he doesn't win with LA, then I can't see a Laker or a Clipper jersey Kawhi being worth much. Yeah.
No, I hear you. That makes sense for sure.
But Yeah, go on.
I think it was just the trickle down from the first year LeBron Lakers stuff going nuts. And so that's where it was like, oh, okay, well, let's look at, first year of these other guys. Yeah, because it's same kind of thought behind it and a lot less expensive. So I understand how it happened. And then it was also kind of what you said. It's like, okay, well, this market is getting larger. It's getting wider. There's more demand outside of just rookie cards. And I think that'll be an interesting thing to follow too. When we assume in a couple of months things pick back up, is it going to pick back up for just kind of those main cards that we talked about, or some of these other, is it going to continue kind of going wide like how it was, a couple months ago?
Well, I think my thought process is that with the big money entering and the record sales of all these cards, it has to trickle somewhere, right? Because if you want a LeBron James card and you only have $50, well, before maybe you could have picked up a rookie card, one of his rookie cards. And if now that's not even in the ballpark, what is the next move you make? Is it a second year card? Is it a first year optic, whatever the price range is? Where is the mentality if you are a LeBron James fan? If you're a Lakers fan, maybe you just go with the Lakers, first year Prism Lakers card or something like that. But overall, where do you go when all the most highly desirable cards are being bought up and it's becoming way out of your budget? And I think that's always the game of like, is it Prism? Is it this? Is it that? I've been finding second year cards of Giannis, Prism and Select really cheap on CompC. And I'm tempted to just like buy them all up because I'm like, it's like if $500 or $1,000 is out of your budget, which it is for a lot of people, and you still want a Giannis card, a second year card is like as close as you're going to get for that price range, unless it's in a New Jersey. So it has to trickle somewhere. I just don't know if like that last surge in August was accurate for how it will be during the next spike.
Yeah, the other thing I want to watch too, and it's very new. I'm sure you probably heard of it too, but the fractional share stuff, offered through like Collectible and Rally, because that could also be part of the answer to your question is, hey, I want a 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card PSA 10, but I don't have 6 figures to buy one. Well, you can buy a share of it. You can buy 10 shares of it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not doing it yet. I'm gonna wait. Wait. But I know a lot of people that have said that they're going to get into it and buy fractional shares. So, but that could be part of the answer of, where is that money going to go? Where they want that really, they want that highly sought after, extremely rare card. Maybe they buy fractional shares. I don't know. Yeah. But again, if you want to hold the card, obviously that's not going to work for you. If you want to actually hold, tangible items that you're working with.
Yeah, exactly. And there's always going to be a percentage of people that want the physical card. It's just, what do you value the most for $30, $50, $100? And what do you think other people will value the most? Is it the second year card, first year in this jersey, first year in this set, whatever it is? What about PSA 8s? And do you think PSA 8s will become more desirable, especially with the PSA prices going up?
Yeah, it depends on what you're talking about, of course, with, whether it's vintage or modern. I'm assuming you're talking about modern, Sam. But yeah, I think it depends on the player. And look, if it's I think especially if it's a rookie card for a player, if it's, second year, third year, fifth year, seventh year, or whatever, then maybe not. It could also be a really rare parallel too. I bought an 8 and I also bought a BGS 8.5 for like a Mojo Prism numbered out of 25 for one of the guys I was targeting, so, I think it depends on what you're looking at, but yeah, I think graded cards in general I think to get cards graded is only going to get more expensive over the next few years. I don't know if demand will hold beyond that. I think that it will, but I think that kind of automatically brings up some of those prices, but especially if it is a sought after rookie card that's very expensive at a 10, less expensive at a 9, but then really, really inexpensive at an 8, then yeah, I would say that those are, I would take a look at them. I've bought 8s. I've bought PSA 8s for sure.
Yeah, I think with the older stuff, the 8s make a lot of sense. The new stuff, and especially the lower end, I'm like, if you crack that, if you sell a card online, a modern card, and it's an 8 versus raw, I would imagine the prices are almost identical, except someone buying the raw card may actually think it has a chance of getting a 9. If it's not one of these 1983 whatever cards or a LeBron or something where it's like, all right, this is 20 years older. and it would have been graded. But the new stuff, I just don't really have a desire on the new stuff of an 8. And like when I buy raw cards on eBay, the most I'll pay is whatever an 8 will go for. It's like a rule of thumb. It's like pretty much it looks perfect. There's a lot of pictures. It's centered. Everything. I can't see any scratches. Okay, whatever an 8 is, that is the max I will pay. And so, yeah, with the rare stuff, the older stuff, the rookie cards that are going through the roof, it makes sense. Like a Jordan PSA 8's obviously pretty desirable. But the modern stuff, I just don't know. And
if it's mass produced, then no. If it's rare, then sure. I mean, look, if it's like a 2018 Blue Prism Luka Doncic rookie card that's numbered out of 199, I think the 10 is what, like 20 grand or 15 grand or something. If the 8 is $500, then I'd be like, sure, I'll take an 8. Because it's a rare card, and it's something that it's kind of like what you mentioned with the Michael Jordan Fleer rookie card. It's a card that is sought after. If it's not produced, then
even that though, my question would be, how much would that card, if you cracked it and took a picture, how much would that sell for raw? Because then you're also getting the person that might be bidding, assuming it's going to get a 9. Like someone might outbid it because they're thinking, you know what, I think this is a 9, and I don't know the answer. That's why an 8 is a very interesting grade, because there's some flaws on it, but if someone out there is going to believe it's going to be a 9, then they could easily pay an extra $600, $800. But if it's there as an 8, some people would be like, okay, I can't pay nearly as much because I really thought it'd be a 9 just looking at the condition. So I don't know. 8's a very interesting grade. It's nothing I'm looking forward to, but if it is very low circulation, and I believe that all the cards have been graded, and that is the true pop report, not something like a 2018 Prism rookie where there's 3,000 of them back at PSA and it says low pop report. There's only 40 PSA 8s, 100 PSA 9s, and whatever 60 PSA 10s. Well, in 6 months, I'll be curious to see how many of those return. And now a PSA 8 could have 3 times the amount of numbers in the pop report.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. They're talking about it in the chat, just kind of, and you're talking about it too. What are pop reports going to look like at the end of the year? What are pop reports going to look like in 12 months? I mean, look, if a lot of these cards, if the pop is double, triple, quadruple what it is today, right this second, that will affect the price of that card. It doesn't matter how popular the player is. It doesn't. So, I mean, the strategy and this is part of what I'm pondering for a lot of these cards is, especially for modern cards, do I just wait a year? Do I wait 6 months? Do I wait 9 months on this particular card and just see what it looks like?
Yeah.
Because it's that supply demand game.
Well, I mean, and there was a chart I had pulled up, and I don't know if I want to risk this again, but it was LeBron James's Optic 2018. So it was the first year in his Laker jersey graded, but obviously this is a very modern card, and people are, they went a bit crazy over it. In fact, I'm going to pull it up here. This is PSA 9. And this is why I bring it up, is because this modern stuff where it's LeBron in the first Laker jersey and what's going to happen. And look, they won. And the pop report's only 323, but this card peaked in August at $249. And then if this was legit again, another $249. But then now we're talking about $71. This is a PSA 9. And all this modern stuff where this is a very common card. A 2018 Optic of LeBron is a very common card where this pop report of 323 can easily be 1,000 in 6 months' time.
And then the other question is, what was the pop in August? What was the pop in July?
Yeah.
Was it pop?
And then another question I'd have is, did people even pay attention to that kind of stuff? Right? Because a lot of people getting in March, I got back in like late February, but March, April, May, pop reports aren't something you hear about right at first. It might take you a couple months. So if you're getting into the swing of things in May, June, July, it's just a matter of buy this because it's LeBron James and it was worth less last week. And now the whole supply side, it has to become a lot clearer where, okay, this is a very common card. We don't know the actual number. We know that a lot of them are at these companies. When they come out, that's going to affect supply, and then demand is obviously going to be affected as well. So I think the modern stuff outside of rookie cards are just way too difficult to, at least for me, too difficult to make sense of in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of angles. So rookie cards, and then guys like Giannis, second year cards is what I'm starting to look at, only because they're very underpriced. What I'm seeing, a lot of them are very cheap. Like a second year select Giannis, $25. Second year Prism Giannis, like $30-$35, where I feel comfortable that maybe it won't skyrocket, but man, if you're a collector of Giannis and you can't afford his rookie cards, $30 card for a second year is not bad. Like it could go up to $80 or $100, because it has back in that bubble, that huge period in August. But it's a number I'm comfortable with, at least not going down, assuming he continues his great career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick, Marcus, I just resell on CompC because the shipping is a nightmare. Everything is delayed so bad, but I know other people that are buying on CompC, especially rookie cards, and having it directly sent to Star Stock because they have less fees. So you can actually buy, 500 rookie cards of NBA, current NBA, NFL, and MLB players, and then have the address be Star Stock and it not actually come to you. So that might be something to consider, just because Star Stock doesn't have as many fees as CompC. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, you're way more advanced than me on CompC and StarStock. I'm still learning both platforms, but I have done a little bit of buying. I've sold a couple of cards on CompC. I really like the platform, but like you said, I mean, I've never actually sent cards to CompC, so I haven't dealt with that piece. And then I also haven't, I haven't had them ship me something where it took 2 months to get or whatever, so I haven't dealt with those issues yet.
Okay, gotcha. I love CompC for a lot of reasons. It's just the delay, the shipping is a nightmare. But in terms of understanding deals and being able to just compare and contrast and find opportunity, I think it's great. Prism football, I don't rip, man. But I'll tell you what, one thing I'd love to do is rip a couple boxes open on a live stream with a couple of us. I think that would be really cool. But also talking about holidays coming up, that is another thought that entered my mind, is how many boxes are going to be bought and ripped on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning as a father-daughter, father-son, mother-son, whatever combination, because they're not going traveling somewhere and their kid or the parent got back into cards, and it's a great bonding opportunity. So I'm imagining a huge surplus of raw cards and 2019, 2020 product hitting all the shelves in January, February because of this Christmas rush.
Yeah, the Prism football, that's actually, I really love the look of that set. I've heard some people don't really like it. I think it looks awesome. They have like the snake skin, Joe Burrow rookie cards. I was like laughing thinking about, there's guys that are just sitting there all day waiting for like the Walmart lady to show up with the Prism. I might be one of those guys in a few weeks, because I just love that product. And like you said, it would be really cool to do that, with my little ones. I would either buy it and hold the box. I wouldn't do the buy flip thing. Nothing against folks that do that, but I would definitely want to open some. For sure. Okay. And I would definitely open some on the channel too. I think that would be fun to do.
Yeah, I would say the only time I would rip some wax is if I can do it live here, because I wouldn't enjoy it on my own. And I do have some sealed wax I've been investing in, only about $1,000. Nothing too crazy. But I have like $3,700 worth of a mail week video that I have to piece together. I'm working on it now. But it is sealed wax, but I'm nervous to open it up just because it goes against the reason I bought it. The reason I bought it is literally for it to go up in value and it be an investment, but maybe just tear open a box for Christmas. But the idea of us doing a break live, like 3 of us, maybe Boris and Andy and a couple of us on here, and the box being in one person's house, I think would be super cool.
Yeah, I agree. That would be really awesome.
All right. I know it's a bit late. I had about 15 minutes of trying to get the damn internet working here. I'm glad it's working out. WNBA Prism, definitely not for me, but I love the fact that there's women's soccer cards, women's basketball cards, because there are dads and daughters. I have been hearing a lot of dads and daughters getting into it. So that might be like more of a long-term investment. Like maybe, WNBA cards don't get their attention or respect for another 8 months or a year, or whenever females really enter the hobby. Hopefully they do, just because I think it'd be healthier. But any thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that could be an interesting kind of sealed wax to buy and hold. Is it, I guess my first question is that first year Prism for WNBA, or have they had previous Prism basketball cards? Because if it's not first year, then I probably wouldn't get it. But if it is that first year, then yeah, I think that would be interesting to buy and hold.
For sure, yeah. I don't know what Umbrella Academy Comics is. Do you know what that is?
I've heard of it. I mean, the comics that I bought are, from the 80s, 90s, and some of the early stuff from the 60s and 70s. So yeah, I'm not really aware, but I've heard of Umbrella Academy on Netflix, the show. But as far as the comics and stuff, I'm just not up to date on it.
Gotcha. Hockey 99. I will not, because it will be very expensive then. And if I go on CompC and I see the prices, even Braden Point, who has been my best hockey investment, I saw the prices on CompC and it was through the roof in his rookie year. And I need a couple of years under someone's belt and to see the goals being scored, to see what team they're on, to make a good investment. Like I go through a process. It's not, and if it's new, I'm pretty much not even considering it, because new, it's like a new car. Everyone's excited about the new car. Yeah, but it's also really expensive. I want to buy that car that is like, it's a great car, but it's 3 years old. It has 30,000 miles on it, and it's a great deal because it's still great, but you're not paying for it being new. So,
the hockey card people that I know, they say every single year there's young guns that come out. Everyone's super, there's the excitement around it. They're very expensive, and they always drop. Basically, like every guy, they always drop in price.
Yeah. I mean, just like the Tom Brady in the Bucs uniform. Some people are going to overpay because I can't invest when someone else is collecting. Like I can't compete with a collector, because if a collector will want a card based off of their emotions, they will overpay, or they'll pay more than me. They'll pay more than me because I'm looking for the deal in order to eventually sell at a profit to a collector. So I would be looking at who was, for one, I wouldn't buy any rookies, because I just want to see, who actually pans out in the first couple of years. But then from there, I go, all right, you've been in the league 3 years. And the three guys I bought, Braden Point, Kyle Connor, Sebastian Aho. And I just did that based on, you're in the league 3 years, you're putting up good statistics, and you're on teams that are on the rise. That was pretty much it. And Braden Point turned out to be my best investment of last month. I mean, it was like bought for $35 to $40 a piece of his PSA 10 Young Gun rookie cards, and I was selling them for $175 to $205 a piece. So nothing like paying off. It's not like I'm becoming wealthy, but it was a really good mathematical decision to go in that way. But I'm not going to pay nearly that much for someone that hasn't proven themselves on a big stage, because that's kind of like buying Zion, because he was amazing before entering this league, and then you have injuries and you have all this kind of stuff. All right. Anyway, I got to pee. This is what happens when we go an hour 20. Let's see here. Investing in certain sets. Any certain sets that you have your eyes on, Dustin?
I think Prism Football is really my focus right now, with it being a new set. But I'll be honest. I mean, it's one that I'm interested in. I don't know if I'm going to spend a bunch of money on it right when it comes out, because it will be expensive. But that's one that I'm interested in. I'm always interested in first year stuff, whether it be 2012 basketball, and that could be Prism. It could be Select. I like the 2016 Optics stuff, so I always keep an eye on that as well for sets. I've been looking to at 86 Fleer basketball, just because it's probably the most iconic basketball set. So if there's stuff that I like, I've been paying attention to those as well.
So, okay. And I wasn't sure if this was like a complete set you're talking about, or if this is a box, like a hobby box of a set. But obviously, I love Select. I just love the aesthetics of it. And I remember going to Burbank Sports Cards here in LA a few months ago, and this was the first time there. And I was picking up an order, and the order was from Beckett Marketplace, where it was like 40 or 50 2012, 2013 Shaquille O'Neal Select cards. He's in the Lakers uniform. It's his first year of Select. And I picked it up because they just sell large quantities of a lot of these cards. And I talked to the guy. I said, shouldn't there be less of these cards because it's not a retail product? And like, shouldn't it be more expensive than it is? And he just basically said, look, that's not what people want. Everyone is all over Prism. And it's funny because Jeff over at Sports Card Investor, he did a video, I think a week ago, on how he was investing heavily into 2012 Select basketball. And the reasoning was because long term, the print runs should be a fraction of what Prism is. And okay, so that my thought process is similar, where I like the look of the card. It's been around a long time, and the print runs are lower. But I think with Select, and I was talking to Tyler about this, I think with Select, it's a set that you don't know about off the bat because it's not at Walmart, because not a lot of people are ripping it. It's not something that enters your vision in the first few months because everyone's all over Prism, Optic, Donruss, maybe Mosaic, but Select is kind of forgotten about. And then when you get further into the hobby after 6 months or a year or whatever, and you learn about all these different sets, I think Select really pops up on your radar. And so I love Select. I love the look of it. I love the fact that it's lower print run in pretty much everything. And that would be the set that I'm hottest on overall. Mosaic intrigues me the most because Mosaic, I think, has a good look. But if it lasts 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, that's when the first year Mosaics I could see really pop because now it's a proven set. The big thing with Mosaic is I don't know if they're going to discontinue the product after 2 years or 3 years or what.
Yeah. No, I agree. I really like Mosaic a lot. I think it'll hang around, but yeah, I mean, you consider even back in 2012 with Prism basketball, it wasn't popular in 2012. They almost discontinued it. I think in 2013 or 14 or what, they made it for a couple of years. And I don't know if it was just, the recession coming off the back of the recession from 2008, but cards were not popular back then. So, all these, all the Prism that everyone loves now, it wasn't, well, you don't love the Chipotle wrapper 2012 Prisms, but
first year Prism is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. If I had a kid, if I had Brad Jr. or Bradilia and they came home from kindergarten class and their art project resembled a first year Prism card, I would crumple it up and throw it in their face and send them outside to do chores. That's how bad.
Bradilia, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd assume that's the female version. All right, let's see if there's any last questions here. I'm like so far behind on the comments, so I apologize here. Just want to see if there's anything new. UFC cards, any thoughts on UFC?
I'm more thinking about like, and maybe it's, I'm not a huge video game guy, but I'm wondering about Fortnite cards because I'm thinking about like Pokemon coming back after 20 years. Like, is Fortnite going to be something like that in 20 years where that was like one of the first, games like that, that everybody was excited about? I don't know.
I will say, okay, Fortnite's one thing. I know there's gamers, the esports gamers on cards. I've seen it on Comp. I think it's like funny as hell because you just have like the most unathletic people ever on a card. Like, I mean, look, you have UFC fighters, you have tennis players, you have golfers, you have a lot of people, but they're somewhat athletic, and we're used to seeing that. And then you see like a kid that is 16 years old that is amazing at Fortnite or whatever on a card, but like the most unathletic thing. And I go, is that really going to be something people want to look at? And I don't know the answer because, there's no real rules. It's just whatever people like. But anyway.
It's going to be that guy's going to be some kid's Michael Jordan in 25 years.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. Yeah. I mean, because he already is to someone. He already is to someone because of his skill set in that game is Jordan-esque. But it's just so funny going from someone that could dunk from the free throw line, who's ripped and is just a beast, to like this just kind of average looking 16-year-old kid with glasses, maybe a couple pimples, just a normal kid, not in good shape, but he has something genius up in his head and with his hand-eye coordination and whatever else. In terms of grading, any preference there on grading before we head out?
pros and cons. I mean, the resale value on PSA is better than Beckett, but I also like Beckett slabs. I like the subgrades. I like the Beckett subgrades, the BGS subgrades. And honestly, like the PSA case doesn't, the PSA case doesn't do anything for me. Like I know some people really like the PSA slab. I'm kind of like, whatever. I mean, honestly, I like the new SGC slab better than the PSA slab, but that's just me.
It's funny because I feel like there's always trade-offs where SGC, I don't like their font. It looks like a bit bubbly, but just too thick. I like Beckett, the way they have the Beckett logo in a way you can kind of see through. It is a bigger case, which I don't like, but PSA has the red, which if it's a Jordan card, I think the red complements it quite nicely, but I don't like the idea of having a red border or design affecting like a green card. I wouldn't want to see like a team that's all green, like the Bucks or the Celtics or something with the red, because I want to look at the card and like it overall. So I think Beckett interests me because if I can buy him cheap, I don't know. I can't see Beckett going too far down. I would think that if anything, they should gain ground, where I've been buying more Beckett BGS 9.5 just because the gap between that and the PSA 10 is so big.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like, do I invest in the fact that BGS will catch up somewhat, or would I invest in PSA 10 and assume that they go even further away from where Beckett is? And I don't think that will happen. I don't know the answer, but it looks like Beckett has the better value. The resale is not going to be there, but if you buy at a much lower price, then you don't need as much back. So that's always the game of like overpay now to get more later, or underpay now, hoping that close the gap and then you can get more later.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I got distracted by Grumpy Card Guys comment. Pokemon WNBA. Hey, this was all.
See, don't you wish the internet was sucking now? Anyway, guys, yeah, it's been an hour and a half. Thanks so much for hopping on. Make sure to check out Dustin. You probably already subscribed to his station, The Personal Finance Dad. Any other places that you want to direct people to?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram, Personal Finance Dad on Twitter. I believe my handle is invest_in_cards. I'm on there too. So yeah, thanks for letting me know, guys.
Awesome, guys. Well, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all Tuesday nights, and have a good one. See y'all later.